job. No, we get.
Whew, good job. Squad needed it. Played Fever way. I love it. More of them.
What would you pay to witness a moment that flips an entire league on its head? 3 weeks ago, Caitlin Clark limped off the floor, her quad barking, the Liberty faithful crowing that the so-called savior of the WNBA had finally been exposed. New York stayed perfect, ratings dipped, and every talking head from SportsCenter to TikTok swore the Fever had been nothing but a hype train. Sponsors held their breath, Nike's new mega deal hung in the balance, and league execs quietly wondered if the Golden Goose had broken a wing just as ticket prices spiked. Fast forward to June 14th, same arena, same undefeated champions waiting to feast, and through the tunnel walks Clark, jaw set like she's been bottling lightning for 21 days. No brace, no minutes restriction, just a look that says, keep the cameras rolling, history's about to clock in. What followed wasn't a comeback, it was a controlled detonation that rattled the standings, humbled the champs, and might have rewritten every projection the league's number crunchers had on file. Stick around, because by the end of this story, you'll know why one 38-second burst of logo range insanity has analysts whispering that the balance of power just snapped like a backboard, and why the next rematch could decide the future of women's basketball.
I don't know if you guys have seen or heard, but Caitlin Clark is in fact back.
Back in the lineup, I'm ready to go.
I think you're just excited more than anything. It gets kind of difficult when you prepare for a game. Obviously, when I'm on the bench, still knowing the scout, knowing everything that the other team's going to do, and still trying to mentally prepare and go through everything like I'm going to play, even though I knew I wasn't going to play. So, doing that, but also knowing I was going to be able to be active today, I think gives you a little extra juice. So I'm certainly excited just to get back out there, get playing, and really good opportunity for us at home here, coming off of a loss.
It started with one awkward plant on May 24th. Late in a bruising rematch with New York, Clark took a hip check as she exploded off the dribble, felt her left quad tighten, and still tried to finish the play. When the final horn sounded, Liberty fans celebrated a gritty 90-88 win, but Indiana's trainers were already telling the rookie phenom she'd need time off. An MRI confirmed a quad strain that doctors warned could sap her first step burst for 6 weeks. The Fever shut her down, and over the next 5 games, they sputtered to a 2-3 mark while Clark iced, stretched, and watched from the bench. Meanwhile, the Liberty turned the absence into a victory parade, rolling to a 9-0 start that had pundits penciling in a Commissioner's Cup berth before June even ended. Sports talk shows recycled the same line. Maybe the hype train left the station too early. Social feeds filled with clips of Clark limping off the court next to split screens of New York draining threes. Hashtags saying oversold and humbled, racking up millions of views. Commentators hinted the league itself might be pressuring Indiana to rush her back. After all, ratings had dipped the moment she disappeared from the broadcast slate, but Clark refused the quick return script. She told coaches she wouldn't play a single minute unless she felt 100% full go, a stance that bought her exactly 21 days to rehab in the shadows while the narrative snowballed. By the time June 14th circled on the calendar, the stakes had ballooned.
Holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the 4th time on her arm. It's cheating, it's plain as day. The haters will say, she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game. But I'm going through this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York, and they still barely.
Undefeated champs on one side, a so-called overmarketed rookie on the other, and a league wondering whether its brightest light still had any wattage left. But while critics argued on talk radio and New York polished its perfect record, Clark was turning those 3 weeks into something far more dangerous. Inside Indiana's practice bunker, Clark treated rehab like a moonshot. Dawn started with contrast baths and GPS-tracked treadmill bursts. If the catapult sensor showed even a 1% power dip, trainers hit the brakes. By breakfast, she was running ghost scrimmages, attacking invisible defenders so staff could clock full-speed cuts without contact. Nike's performance team rolled in force plates on day 12 and quietly reported that her injured leg was now generating more torque than it had pre-strain. Info her agent flagged because bonus clauses trigger when she beats baseline explosiveness. Afternoons were film caves, hours dissecting Liberty sets, then visualizing 3 scripted plays for her comeback.
Going into this after 2 weeks off, do you anticipate being on the minutes restriction today?
Not that I've been told. I don't anticipate, a certain level. I'm not a huge fan of minute restrictions. I think that's silly. I told them, I don't want to come back unless I'm 100% full go. Why would I be out there to play 20 minutes? I'm out there to win and give everything I have.
Drag reject, horns flare, delay logo pull-up, until teammates joked she knew New York's playbook better than their coaches. All-Star fan voting opened June 1st, a silent clock everyone felt. Instead of posting rehab clips, Clark FaceTimed a children's hospital, promising to return before the polls close. The leak spiked sympathy and votes, even while she sat in street clothes. Cleared on day 21, she skipped a minute's restriction. The quad had passed every stress test, the Liberty's tendencies were wired into muscle memory, and her All-Star lead was safe. All that prep was now aimed at 2.22 million primetime viewers, setting up the broadcast that would jolt the entire league. June 14th landed on the calendar like a pay-per-view main event. ABC's intro montage flashed, Clark clutching her quad, Liberty cruising at 9-0, bold text, undefeated versus unfinished.
Grace, as you kind of figure things back out, as you get back into the groove here, I've missed 5 games. My teammates have played 5 more games than I have. So it's just going to be a little bit of, shaking the rust off, giving myself some grace. But I feel like I've prepared in the manner that I'm ready for this game. I feel like I've been great in practice. I feel like our team has been really good in practice. And, obviously practice isn't the exact replica of a game, but I think Coach White does a really good job of putting us in situations that are going to be fairly similar.
By tip-off, 2.22 million viewers were tuned in, the network's biggest regular season audience this decade. Courtside resales crossed $2,000, and the arena shop sold through Clark jerseys before the anthem sounded. Inside the Garden, the crowd looked split straight down the aisle, Liberty Seafoam on one side, Fever Whiteouts on the other. Celebs hugged the sideline, Megan Rapinoe, Flo Rida, a trio of Knicks starters. ESPN's ticker couldn't cycle storylines fast enough. Quad strain doubts, Nike bonus whispers, all-star vote spikes, and talk show hosts debating whether the rookie hype had already peaked. Play-by-play man Ryan Ruocco framed it. 3 weeks ago, New York sent Caitlin Clark to the trainer's room. Tonight, the champs face their own creation. Analyst Rebecca Lobo leaned in. This feels less like June basketball and more like a statement of who owns the league. Cameras cut to Clark in warm-ups, earbuds out, eyes stuck to the rim, bouncing on that freshly cleared quad like she'd never missed a step. Across the floor, the Liberty grinned through shoot-around, loose as if history couldn't touch them. The ball went up, and every safe prediction, minutes cap, rust, Liberty blowout, vanished by the first possession. The spotlight was blinding. Clark was seconds away from torching every storyline the league thought it knew. The Liberty opened with crisp ball movement and a quick 6'2" edge. Exactly the rusty rookie script Vegas expected. Then with 8:11 on the clock, Clark crossed half court, glanced at the shot clock, and, without a screen, rose from 34 feet. Network, the Garden split crowd gasped, then detonated as if someone had flipped a breaker. The Liberty jogged it up, missed a jumper, and before viewers could see the replay, Clark caught an outlet, took 2 rhythm dribbles, and drilled another. This one from 28 feet. ESPN's cameras shook. Stewart's grin froze mid-smile. Liberty coach Sandy Brondello didn't even signal timeout. Her eyes were still tracking the arc. 17 seconds later, Clark yo-yoed a behind-the-back dribble, stepped into a 31-footer, and let it fly. Swish. That made 3 logo bombs in 38 seconds, flipped a 4-point deficit into a 5-point Fever lead, and jacked the decibel meter past anything the Knicks managed all season. Fans at home sprinted to social media. Number logo Clark rocketed to number 1 before the quarter ended. On court, New York's unbeaten body language suddenly stiffened, shoulders back, hands on hips, while Indiana's bench bounced like they'd just stolen the league's cheat codes. The Liberty finally burned a timeout, but the damage was stamped on the scoreboard, and on every highlight reel that would loop for the next 24 hours. Clark had announced in under a minute that her quad was fine and her range was federal. When the buzzer settled, the box score looked unreal. 32 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds in 31 minutes, on 11 for 20 shooting and 7 for 14 from deep, 5 bombs beyond 28 feet, 3 straight off the logo. That tied her personal best from 3 and matched Candace Parker's rookie record for 35-5 games. Except Clark did it against an undefeated champion after a 3-week layoff. Efficiency off the charts. Her true shooting ticked above 67%, and Indiana's offensive rating below ballooned to 139 with her on the floor. Every Liberty coverage crumbled. Hard hedges turned into no-look lasers to Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull, fueling a franchise record 17 fever threes. Single coverage meant another logo pull-up before help could rotate. ESPN's tracker even clocked her top speed at 18.9 miles per hour, slightly faster than her pre-injury best. So much for quad concerns. Zoom out and the context gets louder. 5 missed games, the league's number, 1 defense, and national TV pressure. Yet she logged a plus 19 plus minus and a per north of 35 for the night. Social feeds crowned her hashtag Logo Clark. Nike jersey sales spiked again, and analysts started debating whether the WNBA's three-point line is officially too short. What truly stunned coaches in film review wasn't just the range, but the decision-making. Clark needed only 41 touches to generate or score 54 total points, meaning every time she caught the ball, the Liberty surrendered 1.32 points, an efficiency slice usually reserved for wide-open layups. In one night, she reminded the league that guarding her is no longer about stopping one player, it's about solving an offensive equation that can break a defense at 3 different depths. Clark's fireworks stole the reels, but the real scare for the rest of the league is how Indiana flourished around her. The Fever rained a franchise record 17 threes at 48%, and 5 players cracked double figures, evidence the playbook has evolved beyond give it to Caitlin and pray. Each logo bomb stretched New York's shell wider. One kick out later, somebody else was firing uncontested. Kelsey Mitchell turned quiet into deadly. Only 12 points through 3 quarters, then 10 more in the fourth, drilling stepbacks the instant the Liberty flirted with a run. Aaliyah Boston absorbed every bump in the paint, stacking 10 points and 11 boards while erasing a Jonkel Jones layup that lit up the bench. Sophie Cunningham returned from an ankle sprain and posted a game-best plus 31 in 18 minutes, while Lexi Hull splashed 3 of 4 from deep for 14 points. The acid test came early in the fourth. Clark sat, and the Fever expanded their lead. Ball movement never stalled, cutters kept slicing, and New York's closeouts lagged against a 5-headed attack. Veteran Sydney Colson, 10 points, 6 assists, handled point guard duties, barking switches that kept the tempo humming. Indiana finished with 25 assists on 37 makes, a ratio that screams contender when paired with 102 points on the league's top defense. Even the defensive metrics nudged upward. Indiana held the Liberty to their lowest effective field goal rate of the season, forced 15 turnovers, and turned several into leak-out threes that sent the crowd into orbit. By night's end, Coach Christy Sides called it the first 40-minute picture of the team she's envisioned since training camp. For the first time all season, Indiana's identity felt bigger than its star, balanced, relentless, and far harder to solve on a single night's prep. The buzzer hadn't finished echoing before the takes started flying. First came the handshake clip, Clark offering a quick palm, Liberty guard Sabrina Ionescu brushing past with a curt nod. Twitter slowed it to 0.25 times and labeled it Petty Gate. Debate shows devoted entire A blocks. Was it icy gamesmanship or proof New York felt blindsided by a marketing darling who just torched them? Then the money talk hit. A CNBC Chiron asked, is Caitlin Clark worth 8 figures to the WNBA? Analysts pointed to the 2.22 million viewers and a leaked Nike sell-through surge to argue the league's rookie pay scale, max $76,000, now looks prehistoric. Players' union reps chimed in. If one night of logo 3's spikes network ad rates, why are the stars still flying commercial? By Monday, the hashtag Pay the Women was trending alongside hashtag Logo Clark. Physical play resurfaced too. ESPN's Get Up replayed the May 24th hip check that sparked the quad strain, overlaying Clark's post-game quote, "I just want consistency." Rumor mill says league execs are eyeing an off-season rules tweak to curb off-ball hits. Quiet acknowledgement that nightly wrestling matches aren't great for their new ratings engine. Even legacy legends weighed in. Lisa Leslie tweeted, "The kid's range is wild, but her vision is scarier. League gotta adjust. Fast." Meanwhile, Draymond Green hopped on his podcast to say the Liberty better double her at 40 feet or enjoy the smoke. Every corner of basketball media agreed on one thing. Clark's return didn't just tilt a standings column, it lit every group chat from Manhattan boardrooms to AAU gyms. And through it all, Indiana practiced behind closed doors, saying nothing, because one more rematch looms and the noise is only getting louder. The Liberty left Gainbridge Fieldhouse with their first loss, but the calendar says the rubber match is only weeks away. July 12th at Barclays, Commissioner's Cup pool play on the line. If Indiana sweeps the season series, they steal New York's inside track to the Cup's $500,000 prize pool, roughly 7 times Clark's rookie salary. One fever stumble against Connecticut or Chicago before then, and the Liberty can reclaim the tiebreaker. In other words, every box score from now till mid-July is a bankroll swing for an entire roster. All-star voting adds gasoline. The first ballot returns already show Clark pacing every guard by 200K clicks, but another primetime explosion could hard lock the #1 spot and bump Kelsey Mitchell or Aaliyah Boston into starter range. An optics win Indiana hasn't sniffed since Tamika Catchings retired. Meanwhile, New York's staff is in the film room drawing red Sharpie rings at 30 feet, debating whether to trap Clark at half court or concede logo jumpers and choke off drives. Any adjustment that slows Caitlin risks freeing Mitchell. Overhelp on shooters reopens the lane for Boston's duck-ins. It's a chess match that could define the East seedings, and by extension, which side of the playoff bracket Las Vegas prays to dodge. Beyond X's and O's, July 12th tests a bigger narrative. Did one historic night truly shift the WNBA's center of gravity, or was it a spectacular outlier the champs will correct? Ratings executives, union negotiators, and sneaker reps all have skin in that answer, because if Indiana walks into Brooklyn and rips another win from the Liberty's banner night, the conversation changes from surging rookie to new power order, and the league's 2025 roadmap gets redrawn in real time. One twisted quad, 3 weeks of silence, 31 minutes of mayhem. That's all it took to flip a perfect season, rewrite rookie record books, and shove the WNBA into an entirely new conversation about range, revenue, and respect. Clark's 38-second burst of logo lunacy proved her body is fine, her hype is actually a discount, and Indiana's ceiling stretches far beyond one superstar. But the Liberty still own rings, depth, and a date circled in red at Barclays. So here's the question we're all carrying into July. Was June 14th the night the league's balance of power officially tipped, or just the first crack in a champion's armor? Drop your verdict in the comments, smash subscribe if you're riding shotgun for round 2, and hit the bell so you don't miss a single logo launch. The next chapter is already on the schedule. See you at tip-off.